Good afternoon, everyone. John Kiefel here for the History of Downingtown Football. We're here today at the Downingtown practice field, specifically at the Downingtown track, and we have behind us the Downingtown Whippets ninth grade team and the varsity team practicing. But most importantly, I have here with me today Downingtown High School alum and Whippets football alum, Pete Hayes.
Thank you.
Pete, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're gonna talk about some of the I'll say great moments in the history of Downingtown football, and Pete has a great wealth of knowledge that he was very willing to share with us, and we are so happy to have him here today. So Pete, let me ask some of the basic questions. When did you graduate from Downingtown High School?
Yeah, I graduated class of 1950. I played my last varsity sports in 49.
49, and so then that was your last football season was 1949.
49, correct.
Okay. And what year did you play? Other years ahead of that?
46, 47, 48. Yeah.
Okay. And then what positions did you play for the Whippets?
I was a weak side end on a single wing formation, a formation that's no longer even in use. Everybody runs the T, and the quarterback behind the center, or in a tailback position. But no, single wing. I played the weak side, which was we had on the strong side we had an end, a tackle, a guard, a center, a guard, split, and then the weak side end. So I was kind of a early time flanker.
That's a great explanation for everybody about the single wing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now your brother Bill also played for the Whippets. What was that like to be able to have your brother together and be able to play on a team?
I always said I was glad that I played alongside my brother because he was the toughest kid I ever saw, and he liked to hit people. I mean, not hurt, not intense. Just he was an animal on the football field, and hit hard.
And then let me ask you this: what position did your brother play, and did you guys play together on that single wing formation ever at the same time?
Absolutely did. We played. Bill played 2 years, and then he became age ineligible. But he was a fullback, a tailback, a linebacker. We didn't come out of the games. We played both ways, and that's the way most schools did. But a small school, Downingtown was just a very tiny little school out in the country, and there was 83 in my graduating class at Downingtown.
Well, that's certainly different than now. 3 high schools.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so that was it, and yeah, Bill was a football player. Yeah, he was good.
And then look, if I have this right, so before you and your brother actually played for the Whippets, you still were both involved with the football team for a number of years before you even played on the varsity. Is that right?
Right.
So tell me about that.
Yeah, Bill was born in 30. I was born in 32. And by 1935, 36, we were both water boys for the varsity football team, and it was kind of a homecoming because we were both born in the house right next to the high school, and we spent our entire preschool days at the high school. Guys would bring us in through the window at the wood shop, and we were just over here all the time. Yeah.
And those sound like some good days. So did you go on like road trips or go to any of the away games with the football team?
Yeah, we used to come over. We were the unofficial water boys, and we'd come over on Saturday morning, and we were going to Phoenixville or whatever. And in those days, the guys would put their equipment inside their pants, and then throw it in the back of the bus. Well, we got thrown in the back of the bus too, off to Phoenixville or Pottstown or Berwyn or wherever, and our parents knew where we were. They knew we were in good hands, Coach Francis Tweed, got a legend in Downingtown football. They took good care of us, and so we had a great time.
Well, I'm going to say there's probably some folks who don't know Tweety Bird or from back in the day. So he was the head coach of Downingtown, not only in football, but he was baseball, track and field, the athletic director. He did it all, right?
Did it all, and he was highly respected as a big time football coach. Downingtown was tough in those days, very tough. Good football players. Yep. Peppers Petrella. Yeah. Charlie Way, and I can name a lot of guys.
Well, let's do this. Let's flash forward from those days when you were a water boy. How about when you move forward and you're actually playing for the varsity? Who are some of your teammates that come to mind that you have fond memories of?
Well, first of all, Sonny Milano was the center and linebacker on our team. Sonny always had a great knowledge of football, and he kind of passed it on to his son, that Michael Milano, who was down here in Downingtown for 100 years, and just retired. But Michael was, I have a son that was Michael's age, and so that's how Michael got to be a good head coach, because his dad was a heck of a coach too. So, but Sonny Milano was good. Joe Rags, everybody had a nickname. Joe Rags was Joe Charette.
Well, everybody from Downingtown has a nickname. That just comes with the territory.
Yeah.
So, as the head coach during your time at Downingtown High School, and tell us a little bit about your coach.
Yeah, Don White was my head coach, and assisted in my last 2 years by Howard Caskey. But Don White was the phys ed teacher. Phys ed. He didn't teach classes, only in health and phys ed, but he was a super guy, great guy, and I'll always remember some of the things that he traditions he had. For instance, pre-game, everybody would get together, and Don would get up and speak to all the guys and tell them about how to do good. But he always would do this with his foot. He'd always mark something on the floor and mark it. So, but that was it. Don was a great guy. He was a great guy, and he had a great son who played at Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
He played at Downingtown as a quarterback, and he played at the University of Maryland.
Yeah, Buddy White. Buddy was he was an all-state quarterback,
that
like
is correct.
57, 58 vintage, I think, for the Whippets.
That is correct. Yeah.
Now, like we talk about how sometimes things change, sometimes things remain the same. So there's not a Thanksgiving game anymore. But back when you played, the Thanksgiving game wasn't against Coatesville, it was against Pottstown. That's who the rivalry game was, that last game. Is that right?
That is correct.
So,
yeah.
So what are your memories of any of those Thanksgiving games against Pottstown? I imagine they were pretty special games to play in.
Yeah, they were very special, and the 1946 game was exceptionally special because Pottstown was undefeated. Had a great football team with the guys Dave Detar, Reinhardt, Metz, all guys that went. Detar went to West Point, and Reinhardt went to a Big Ten school, and I can't remember exactly where, but they were a good football team, and they came in. They were roaring into Downingtown about Thanksgiving Day game, and undefeated and practically unscored upon.
Yeah, I think I think we talked about this when we got together previously, that the newspapers of the day were calling that the greatest Pottstown team that had ever existed.
Yeah.
So we got all the hype coming into that game in '46. So tell everybody what happened.
Well, I was up in the press box. I was a ninth grader, but I knew all the players on the varsity and everything. So they asked me to be a spotter, which was not unusual, and our season was over. So Pottstown came into Downingtown, but we all noticed when we got to the field, there was a great big burned out pea in the middle of the field. They came over the night before and poured gasoline on the middle of the field and lit it and burned out a great big pea. So it was that was the start of it. I think that spurred the boys on to have a good game, and boy, did Downingtown ever have a good game. 26-12, and Dick Degg and oh God, some of those guys, not Ray Barrow, but Danny Barrow, and Ray Kipp, and there were a lot of guys, but it was probably the highlight of any Downingtown game I ever saw and played with or involved in. So yeah, it was a great game, and boy, Pottstown went home with their hand between their legs. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Well, you said that. So like now again, let's flash forward. So do you still like to attend the Downingtown, like the Friday night games? Do you still come out?
Yeah, I come out, and I get really good taken care of. My stepson arranges for me to have special seating in the end zone area, and everybody at Downingtown is very accommodating and very good to me, and I appreciate it very much.
So let me ask you this. So in addition to your brother, is there any other members of your family that have played football for the Whippets?
My son Danny played for the Whippets in the 70s. Yeah, and but I have a daughter that was a great athlete here. Hoppy Hayes was a super athlete and was girls athlete of the year in her senior year, and but no, that is it. My son Danny is the only one that ever played football.
So Pete, is your grandson a member of the Whippets football team now? Do I understand that correct?
I'm very proud of Devon. He's a good athlete. He's big. He's smart, and he can do things. He throws the ball well, and I think his brain is probably better than his brawn. But anyhow, I look at Devon to do good things, and he'll get a shot here at Downingtown when he deserves it. And I think the coach knows of his abilities, and we'll give him an opportunity. So I'm proud of Devon. He's a good boy.
I'm looking forward to seeing him play. We had talked about some of the things that were different. How is the equipment different now versus how it was when you played?
First of all, in the area of helmets, I think for our squad we may have had 15 helmets for the squad.
The whole 15 total?
Yes.
And what were those helmets, what were they like?
Well, they were just kind of like pieces of leather that you put over your head, and they had some protective padding in it, but not a whole lot. And pre-game, the 15 helmets would be put in a line in front of the bench. And as you came out of the locker room to the football field, the starters would go over and grab a helmet. Now you didn't get a special helmet; you got a helmet. What was ever left, you got, and that was it. I never wore a plastic helmet. We didn't have those kinds of things, or face masks. Who would ever wear a face mask? I mean, that was kind of sissy stuff, You put your head out there, and if you got hit, you got hit. And but anyhow, the kids today, believe it or not, are much better athletes. They really truly are. They're faster, they're bigger, they're better coached, and no question about it. The coaches of today are far better coaches than we had. Not that they weren't good people, but the knowledge of the game, they know so much more about it, and have created many more options to different plays and things, and it's a far better football game than it was in those days. Kids are much faster, and they hit hard.
One of the things that I've written about for the history of Downingtown football, and there was even an anonymous source, he swore me to secrecy that I never mention his name. He gave me some information about a game that happened in 1949 that some people still, all these years later, refer to as the riot game. Well, let's jump back to that. And you were actually in that game, weren't you?
Well, yeah, I sure was. We had a good football team in those days. Westchester was good. They had a good running back, Vince Cellini, and they had Ralph Watson and Dick Flagg, and they had a good football team. But we weren't too bad ourselves.
So was that 49 game? That was at Westchester, right?
That was at Westchester, and it was well attended. There was a lot of people there, a lot for those days, and in the crowd were always, they called it the Johnsontown Switch.
So you had mentioned the Johnsontown Shift. Did I get that right?
That is correct.
Tell me a little more about the Johnsontown Shift.
Johnsontown Shift these were all veterans, World War II vets, came back from fighting the war and just full of all kind of vinegar. Anyhow, they followed the ball up and down the field. They never sit in the stands. You never get them, and they go behind the stands and follow the ball wherever it was going. And so that was the Downingtown, the Johnsontown Shift. That was a big part of our game plan.
And that was during the entire 49 season. They were there in force.
Oh, absolutely. Every game. There was one guy I can remember, Jerry Lyons, who wasn't from Johnsontown, but he was a Downingtown name. And Jerry was a big boy, about 6'4", and he carried his weight well, and he was one of the leaders of the shift, and he comes into play a little bit later in this interview.
All right, so I want to take us to, we're in the 1949 game. The Whippets are playing at Westchester. It's 2014. Westchester's winning. There's about 6 minutes left in the game. Can you tell everybody what you remember happening at that point in the game?
Well, Sonny Milano, there was a timeout, and Westchester had the ball, and they were driving, and it was a fourth down, and it was critical down, 4th and 4, 5, something like that. Anyhow, Sonny told the coach, said if we hold him here, we get the ball back, we're gonna run the sleeper play.
So tell everybody what the sleeper play was.
Well, then it happened because we got the ball, and the first play of that series, we ran the ball to the right, hash mark. Pete, Sonny said, Sonny's a coach said, Pete, go to the left. Go to the left, go to the sideline like you're going out of the game. So we ran the ball to the right. I went to the left, all the way past the hash mark onto the sideline, and waited there. Ball was snapped to Big Jack Helm, Jack threw the ball to me. Westchester had this guy by the name of Herbie Scott. Faster than lightning, and I was not lightning. Anyhow, I had about a 20-yard gain on him. I was about 20 yards ahead of him, but unfortunately, he caught me about the 10. I fell to the 8, and that's where referee first and goal to go. And I knew we were going to win that game because we would have won it by an extra point. Jack Helm could kick extra points, and he was ready. Anyhow, on that play that I took it down to the 8-yard line, Sonny Milano was hurt, and the coaches came out on the field along with Dr. Cram, who would give you an aspirin no matter what. You had a broken leg, you got an aspirin. Anyhow, he came out on the field, and so I kind of lost my train of thought. Anyhow,
So Sonny's down after the
Sonny's
play.
down. All right.
So what happened after that?
Sonny gets up, and the coaches call. In the meantime, Westchester's coach, Hal, nice guy. Anyhow, he's talking to the officials over on that side, and then they blow the whistle. Official gets the ball on the 8-yard line and starts down the other end of the field. Forget it. You're not taking that ball down there. I mean, out of the stands came the Johnson Township and about, I don't know, 50, 100 other people, that were irate that they were taking the ball away from us. And so we never continued the game.
So then, after that happened, did anybody come off the Westchester side too? Because the way the story was told to me, that there was a meeting of the minds at the center of that football field.
Yeah, there was, and there were a lot of upset people, and they pulled the that game was over. They pulled the fire engine up to the exit gate, so that so they blocked that off, and then they pulled our bus up behind it. So that's how we got out of the stadium.
So after the meeting of the mind, shall we say, on the field, the official then, he just stopped the game at that point, right? He declared the game a forfeit. That's how I was told. Is that what you remember happening?
Official's name: Thompson, Cahill. I can't. I don't remember the third guy. Thompson and Cahill. I'll never forget those names because they stole that game from us. And
then what? They declared the game like a 1-0 forfeit in Westchester's favor that day?
No, not that day, but it went to court, and the court in Norristown.
The district one made a decision.
Yeah. And that is the only decision they could make because, in games to come and games today and stuff, you can't have riots.
Yeah.
If you just can't do that and award a game, but it was our game. It wasn't because Westchester was ahead, but we would have won that game. I know we would.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: so all the folks out there who always say that there's no such thing as momentum in the game of football, you had the momentum at that point.
Oh yeah, they could have never stopped us at that point. No. And whether we held them for a couple minutes, who knows? But it was an exciting time, and I can't foresee that happening in today.
Oh no, it's not going to happen in today. Pete, you've watched football as a spectator for a lot of years. Are there some players that really like you've seen play that just sort of stick in your memory and go, boy, these are some. This was really fun to watch these guys play.
I'm talking about players in 1939, 40, 41, like Peppers Petrella, who went to Penn State. Peppers was a hell of a football player. And that's really kind of the first guy I remember, and I remembered because he was so good.
Who's the best player that, with your own eyes, that you've seen play high school football in Downingtown?
Well, there's all kinds of categories to name a player, but I think Big Jack Helm was he was, if not the greatest athlete to ever come out of Downingtown, one of the top, because he could play everything. He played football and he was excellent. He could punt, he could kick extra points, he could do it all. Good basketball player and superb baseball player. Offered a contract by the New York Yankees, but chose to go to Villanova, where he played with Bobby Hayner and some of the great Villanova teams. This is right after the war. You know, I mean, in the 50s, and the Korean War and all that stuff. But Big Jack, in my opinion, was the greatest all around. He could play ping pong left-handed and right-handed. He was just a natural athlete.
He could do it all.
He's my favorite.
So,
what?
Pete, you told me that you know, like, that you have an interesting story that you say is a funny story. So I'll let you just go ahead and go. You tell me the story.
Well, John, it was the passing of my great grandmother. Was it great or great?
So you're talking this is
in the 40s.
okay.
In any event.
So what happened?
Well, we had the funeral service down at the Baptist Church at the corner of Lancaster and Manor Avenue, and it was on a Saturday. Maybe the service started at 10. It was over at 12:30 or whatever. Anyhow, the procession started. She's buried up at the East Branch of the Brandywine.
Okay.
Up 322.
Okay.
But in any event, my brother Bill and I were in my mom and dad's car, and the funeral, we were right first car in back of the hearse. So we got to we came up Manor Avenue. We got to the front of the school, and the procession stopped, and Bill and I jumped out of the car and ran to the football field because it was a football game, and we were the water boys for the football team.
And you think your great-grandmother was definitely saying, that's where you need to be right now?
That's right. My great-grandmother would have said, that's where those boys belong. They belong on the football field.
There you go.
Yeah, that was kind of a funny day. And I can still see me running down that field, down that yard, which is now occupied by the middle school.
Or the STEM Academy, or the
STEM.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went, man, and it's had different lives.
Yeah,
the same building was first the high school, right,
and then junior, senior high school,
senior high school, and then we're giving all the history lesson here to everybody, and then it became just the junior high school. They rehabilitated it, and then they shut it down, and then it became the STEM Academy.
STEM Academy.
There you go. So you just got here the history of the
public school system.
The public school. There you go. The public school system. And you know, in case we missed this or like you didn't hear it the first time, you lived in there's a White House that's right next to that building. Is that
still there? And it's now there are 3 apartments in that, and it has been for 50 years, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, that was. There was a big porch on the front. It was a beautiful place. And it belonged to my great-grandmother.
And I think you've told me before, like Downingtown in those days, like you there was not a whole lot of traffic on Manor Avenue when you lived there. Who was it?
One of the things that my brother Bill and I used to do, there's a Beaver Creek that runs right in front of our house on Manor Avenue, and we'd go out there on a night and, you know, nothing to do. We'd sit on the bridge, and he would count the cars gone north, and I would take south, or he would take south, I would take north, and we'd sit out there for like an hour, and I would win. 7 cars went north, and 6 cars went south in an hour and a half, and now there's
Oh yeah, I was
600 cars.
right. I was out there this morning. It took me 20 minutes to get past the school.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, but that's the kind of stuff that was there.
Pete, you had an opportunity to potentially play football up at Penn State. Can you tell me a little bit about like what you did or what happened with that?
Howard Caskey, who became head coach here at Downingtown, was assistant coach at when I played my last year here, and he took both Jack Helm and I up to Penn State. And I had gotten hurt in the Coatesville game, and I had a hip injury, and I wasn't 100% mobile either. So but anyhow, he took us up to Penn State, and we had a nice meeting with the coaching staff and everything, and that night, Jack and Howard Caskey and I went to Pittsburgh, and we had field privileges, or the pit game on Saturday.
So your visit to Penn State, then you had field privileges to go to the pit game.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what you remember about being a visitor for that Pitt Penn State game.
Yeah, I remember being on the sideline and feeling like a real big shot. You know, I was. There were other recruits there too. So in any event, I saw it. I didn't recognize him, but I looked through the program, saw Johnny Dazio's number, and I was able to go out on the field prior to the game, and I talked to him a bit, and I said, "You're a good size for a center." He said, "We don't play nice football up here." So that was a nice introduction. But he was a good guy. I never saw him again in my life, even though he practiced dentistry here in Coatesville.
One of the things that's always interesting when we have Downingtown players on both sides of a game, and coming up is a pretty big college football game this year. We got Drew Shelton on one side for Penn State against Will Howard for Ohio State. So just tell me a little bit about your thoughts about that one.
The Shelton kid, I mean, I really don't know him, but Will, we've, through Brian, had a lot of impersonal kind of contacts with him. And such a great kid, nice size, and I wish the best for him because, and I'm a diehard Penn State guy, but I wouldn't care whether, I wouldn't mind seeing Ohio State beat Penn State this time.
And I'll just say this, here I'll give you my piece of it. So I coached with Drew's dad.
Oh, gee.
At 2 stops at Great Valley, and then at Peckway Valley. And then when I was fortunate enough to be on the staff here with Mike Milano, I was fortunate enough to be able to throw a few pearls of wisdom, hopefully Will's way. So yeah. I'm conflicted for this game too.
Yeah. There's been some good kids come out of here, but Will Howard is a fine young man. He really and truly is, and I hope he makes it in the pros. He seems, in the interviews I've seen recently, he's indicated that he would like to play professional football. But we'll see.
We will definitely. So, Pete, I can't thank you enough for the great stories that you've shared with everybody out there in the history of Downingtown football, and hopefully others out there who follow the history of Downingtown football. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here today, and on our weather held out too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Pete.
My pleasure, and it's always It's a love, a true love for Downingtown.
Thank you so much.